Sweet, let go.
Live and direct from the planet of Queens, New York. Soccer Senseis, Rodrigo Salazar, Elisa Tunda. Today we're going to be joined by Paulo Goncalves from Heroes and Hooligans. It's a lifestyle brand that focuses on soccer, based out of Los Angeles. You'll be with us in a couple of minutes. In the meantime, Ellis, what's up, man? How you doing?
Good, good. And you?
Good.
Leicester City?
Amazing. Improbable. I can't believe it. It's usually have these clubs that are great in the beginning, lesser clubs, and then by this time they go down. For whatever reason, they can't maintain it. But for some reason, these guys are like on point.
5 points up.
5 points up, yeah. We
13
play
games
them.
left.
Arsenal plays them this weekend. So actually twice, this weekend and next weekend. So we'll see what happens. But not to have another show about Arsenal. What's up with Real Madrid? Playing okay with Zidane. Obviously not the prettiest football, and that's a problem with Real Madrid because they want everything on point. You know, you have the best players on the pitch. But something that I heard on locker room is that a lot of times the manager, Zidane, right now, gets pressured by the front office to play certain people. So, you know, even if you're not on form, like James Rodriguez is not really on form, Ronaldo's not really doing too well, not on form. Varane, the French defender, is not really on form. What do you think about that? Is that what's going on in Real Madrid? I mean, they're third place right now. Obviously, they can still win the Champions League. They can still win La Liga. What's up with that? How is Zidane's first 5 games he's been in charge?
Yeah, first 5 games. We've seen those 2 first ones where they scored 5 goals each, but that's gone. Yeah, we know that was going to hold up for quite too long. But yeah, I mean, they needed the incursion of Kovacic and Modric to actually get passed by Granada, which it's a team dead last. I mean, they're fighting relegation. I know it's not easy to play against these teams who are relegation prone, but 2-1. I mean, and very late in the game to get a goal.
Yeah.
With the stars that they have, I don't know. I think
They should be playing better. Yeah.
Maybe they were a little too tough on Rafa. I think you can't just.
They still love Ancelotti. They shouldn't have gotten rid of Ancelotti, but that's the whole other program. Let's try to connect with Paulo.
Let's see. They're still in there.
Oh yeah, they're still in there,
5
big
games.
time. Yeah,
I mean, 4 points.
Yeah. Oh, shout out to Caracas Arepa Bar, my favorite restaurant of all time. I got locations in Brooklyn and LES. Amazing Venezuelan arepas, Venezuelan food. Hey, Paulo.
Hey, how are you?
What's up, man? How you doing? How's everything?
Good, man. Sorry it took me a little bit.
No, don't worry about it, man. Don't worry about it. Thanks for coming on, Paulo Goncalves from Heroes and Hooligans. I was telling Ellis and our viewers, you were a soccer lifestyle brand based out of LA, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, man. I think you started in New York. You started something called Bespoken, which I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah. So, Rodrigo, I'm actually looking at your bookcase right now.
Okay.
Is that on purpose?
I don't know. Hold on. Let me.
There you go. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, actually, no, yeah. Yeah, because you're looking at the camera. This is a Skype to
Okay, no
Periscope.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, thanks first off, guys, for having me on the show. Yeah, so a little bit about me. I come from more of a marketing and advertising background, and pretty much about 12, 13 years in big agencies working on big sort of Fortune 500 companies and developing those brands and growing those brands. And then about 6 years ago, I left to pursue something on my own, which is Bespoken, which is a contemporary menswear brand based in New York. And we got that to a really healthy place and got all the global distribution. I ended up moving back to New York for the brand because I was living with my wife out here in LA. And I ended up selling the company back to my partners and ended up crawling back to LA just because I feel like where we were at the point in time is we really wanted to come back here at the beach and raise our family out here. So, what sparked me out Heroes and Hooligans was this idea of, having an alternative to the big two that are out there, and no disrespect to the Nikes and the Adidas of the world. It's just I wanted something that was a little bit more representative of what I was hearing from a lot of my friends, a lot of even the kids, my son, and the last thing kids wanted was just to walk around with a kit with a big gratuitous logo on it. They want to have more fun and be a little more expressive. So, honestly, I always took a lot of direction and cues from what was going on in the contemporary market and a lot of the streetwear market. So Heroes and Hooligans is really a culmination of my passion for the game, and then also, just my love of what's going on in terms of a lot of street culture.
Okay. So I guess tell us about who you're passionate about the game. Like, what are your teams? Who are you into? What leagues do you follow?
Well, it's funny. I grew up in New York, but I was born in Holland, and my parents are both Portuguese, hence the Goncalves name. So it's always been in my blood, right? So I have the Portuguese and the Dutch lineage, and I feel like I was first sort of exposed to Sporting Lisbon as my dad's team,
okay.
And gave birth to some great players, obviously. And then, I never had a real club team that I really got behind necessarily, because I just love the game, and I really follow the players more than the teams themselves. I know that sounds kind of tacky to say, I suppose. But, it's different for me because obviously I didn't grow up in like Liverpool or any of those towns like Manchester, where obviously I'm a supporter of that particular club. I'm a supporter of the great players of the game. So I'll watch Arsenal because I love Ozil. I watch Madrid because I love Bale and I love Ronaldo. So I'm kind of, I follow the players, I suppose, if you can say that.
Okay, cool. That's valid, definitely, man. I mean, it's and now what do you see with this intersection of streetwear, lifestyle brands really picking up on the whole soccer thing? I mean, 5 years ago, it wasn't like that, and now we're seeing a lot of brands, a lot of buzz building around kids these days that before would just be wearing NBA jerseys, but now they'll sport like a Neymar jersey, a Ronaldo jersey. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's funny, and it's growing up, I never played at a high level competitively. To be honest with you, I was my parents migrated here, so I didn't necessarily have the exposure and the opportunities that our kids have today. But when we did play recreationally, and even what I'm seeing in today's market, in today's youth market, is kids are wearing a lot of their favorite skate brands to practice, and they skate. They skate to the actual pitch to play, and when they get there, is they take it off. They take off their hoodie, and then they're wearing something of a jersey, obviously representing their favorite team or their favorite player. But it was just more in terms of, it was almost for only on the pitch, and what we were trying to get is like off the pitch as well. Try to tap into this. Why isn't there a cool soccer-inspired, football-inspired lifestyle brand that kids could and guys could get behind, not just only wearing on the pitch, but also off the pitch? And that was really the genesis behind Heroes and Hooligans, was this idea of like, let's celebrate that, and let's make something that is cool and that allows people to really feel like it's part of their identity and represents who they are, not just when they're playing the game, but also when they're just hanging out on the weekends.
Okay, Ellis?
Yeah, we're talking about exposure, Paulo. We've seen, for the first time ever, on a Saturday, we saw Fox 5 and NBC4 show soccer matches at 12:30. That has never happened before, I think, on the same day. Talking how soccer has come along. I really like the women's jerseys, Paulo. I was talking to Rodrigo off air that they were tremendous. They were spot on. What do you think what do you think it takes for? I mean, we've seen the emergence of MLS, but when will we have such exposure related to women, to the women's league? When are we going to see women look up to Marta, women look up to Mia Hamm in a global scale?
Yeah, it's I'm fortunate enough to live in a town that Mia Hamm lives in here in Manhattan Beach. So she's her kids go to the schools here, and we see her a lot in town. And it is one of those things where I just feel like it's just a difficult thing because I think there's still so many distractions here in the U.S. and that it's always going to be difficult for it to take the spotlight. And again, a lot of people get behind the national women's team, but I don't necessarily hear a lot of people following their club teams. And I just think it's an uphill battle with all the other sports and these huge television deals and commercial breaks, and it's just I think it's just going to be always difficult in that sense. I think the format is something that is accepted worldwide, but I think it's still the format of playing a continuous 45 minutes is from an advertising and sort of brands getting involved in it. It's a very difficult sort of kind of model to get their heads wrapped around. So I don't know. I think there's a part of me, honestly, that I love that it's a little bit. You got to work a little harder to love the game here. It's not like if you're in London, you can just go down to the pub and the games are at a time where it makes perfect sense for you to be having some beers with your friends and all, and the same thing goes for the most part throughout the world. But here, I'm waking up at 5:30 in the morning on a Saturday to watch Barca or Real play with my little man, and I'm drinking coffee and he's eating his cereal, and there's a cool bonding experience that I feel like you got to work a little bit harder here in the U.S. to really be a fan and really keep up with all the various leagues.
That's a good point you brought up. Since you've been in LA and NYC as well, what's the difference between being a fan there and being a fan here? I mean, in LA, I remember there was a lot of pitches out there. I mean, that's where I learned how to play the game. Because in New York, I was playing basketball mostly. I didn't really even have any pitches over here. Now you can see a lot more pitches, but back then, there weren't any place to really play. In LA, always open space, really beautiful, 80 degrees and sunny. Like, how do you see that difference between New York City and LA in terms of the fan engagement?
Yeah, I think you just nailed it, Rodrigo. I think it really comes down to a lot of it, just space, right, and accessibility. Here, it's phenomenal the amount of kids and guys and girls that you see on a pitch on any day of the week. It really is incredible. Like, there's pickup games during the week for lunchtime. Like, that never even happened when I was in New York. In New York, because everything is incredibly crowded, you gotta really search high and low to find a pitch that's available to play on. So I think that's changed. There's a lot, in terms of the passion for the sport. I mean, obviously they're big, both multi sort of cultural cities. So I think you're always going to have the sport being not seen as a sort of a sport that people can't get behind. Here we have the Galaxy. Which people are really passionate about. And I think also because you have a lot of people from the rest of the world and Europe and South America and Central America, I think you're always going to have that love for the game and the appreciation for the game. But yeah, I think as you just said, I think the real difference is, I think it's just, I see more people playing the game out here. In terms of watching it, I think there's certain pubs that people go to, that they're go-to spots. The only difference here in LA, because of time difference, most of the games tend to be in the morning. So, you may be, people may frown upon you if you're holding a beer at, say, 7 in the morning or so. But other than that, I think it's pretty similar.
Yeah, I remember going to Pasadena. I forget the name of the pub. They have an outdoor section. I used to drive over to Pasadena at like 6 in the morning, just from Silver Lake. When I lived out there, it was like, what am I doing? But hey, I wanted to see Arsenal. I had to watch the game. Yeah. But let's talk about the brand. I mean, the reason you're on here is Heroes and Hooligans. We really dig the brand. On point, like you said, the women's line, the men's line. Tell us about that. Tell us specifically about the brand. The designs. If you have anything, any T-shirts that you have to hold up, be great. That way, people can see them.
Yeah, for sure. like I said, I think a lot. Thank you for the words. I think the most part, what we do is I have a team of people that I work with, and a lot of it just comes up with like concepts. And the concept for a lot of the more sort of literal sort of jerseys and sort of paying homage to the most iconic kits in the past, for example, is something sort of near and dear to me. So, this is unfortunately. I'm at home right now. You caught me, and I don't have access to all our samples, but I just pulled a bunch of stuff from my son's closet, who benefits greatly from Heroes. But this is like a Heroes and Hooligans. This is the Germany jersey we did,
Yeah.
and this is paying homage to the '90s kit when Germany played in Italy, and it was always this iconic kit that I loved. The graphic element and sort of this geometrical shape that was done. I just think kits back in the day were just a little more fun, a little more exciting, more adventurous.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the streetwear really comes into a lot of the typography, the iconography that we use. In this case, again, it's tongue-in-cheek with Hooligan and number 8 for my boy, my man, Ozil.
Ozil.
So that's the Germany one, and this, of course, my parents hailing from Portugal, I had to do one of their kits. That this is sort of a parody of their 2012-13 away kit, and added an element of camo to it as well.
Okay.
I don't think a lot of people see Ronaldo as a hooligan in their eyes, but
hey, some people do.
So that's that, and then the Italian one. It's funny if you go back to their '94 kit, the one that they played here in the U.S. here in L.A. I think they had a really interesting pattern, and I wanted to be kind of take some cues from that, but also be a little bit more feel like a little bit more street with it. So in this case, we did some color blocking and took a really cool digitized camo print. And then, of course, a true hooligan being Mario Balotelli's number on this one, which I got a lot of flack from a lot of my Italian friends to put his number on it, but nonetheless,
it's cool because he does more streetwear collaborations with Puma and Bathing Ape than actually scoring on the pitch. So
totally agree.
He's so talented, though. But we'll see if he gets together for Milan.
I hope so. I always say even the name of Heroes and Hooligans, the whole idea behind it was like, if you think about our game, it really is a cast of characters. It really is. And if you were to personify some of these players, there are heroes on the pitch, and instead of villains, they're hooligans on the pitch. So unlike any sport, you can hide in football. You can hide behind your helmet. In basketball, you're hiding between the breaks and taking a break every 2 minutes and coming off the court and being coached and being seated and going out. And in the game of soccer, you have 45 minutes of continuous play, and your true characters will show. And that's why, love him or hate him, a guy like Diego Costa gets so much written about him because he's who he is, and he is a true epitome of the word hooligan in my eyes. And that's what makes the game so exciting.
It takes all types. Heroes and Hooligans. You're right, definitely. Paulo, thanks so much for joining us, man. We'll definitely get some more images, put it on the Instagram. If you want to send us some shirts, I'm a large. He's a medium.
Large and a medium.
Yeah.
He's waiting for Emmanuel Adebayor jersey.
Jersey. Nah, please don't send me that one, please. Ozil, Milan, anything, but not Adebayor. Now he's playing for Crystal Palace. But Paulo, thanks for joining us on Soccer Sensays. What's your website so people go on there and order?
It's just heroesandhooligans.com. Follow us on Instagram as well, Heroes and Hooligans.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. And
thanks, I really appreciate the support. Okay.
Continued success, man, and definitely come back on when you launch some other new designs. Definitely come back on and show them.
I have some fun stuff coming up out of the gate, out of the in preparation of the Euro in France.
Beautiful, man.
Looking forward to that.
Cheers, guys.
All right, man. Thanks a lot.